Hello everybody, my name is Dina Schoonmaker. I have the pleasure and the honor of teaching all the Machal students. And today we will be discussing the sugya of Nasa v'Nishma, which is coming up in this week's Parashat. We're going to try to learn something conceptual and practical from this topic. Okay, so we all know in this week's Parasha, we talk about Nasa, and next week's Parasha, Nasa v'Nishma. And the Gemara in Shabbos Peichet, Gemara says that at the time that Bnei Israel said Nasa v'Nishma, and the lashon of the Gemara is as follows: B'sha'ah shekdimu Yisrael Nasa l'Nishma, ba'o shishim ribo shel malachei hasharet, l'kol achad v'achad b'Yisrael. Kashru lo shnei ktarim, echad keneged Nasa, ve'echad keneged Nishma. So the Gemara is telling us that each person in Klal Yisrael received two crowns as in response to the fact that they said Nasa v'Nishma. And here we have an interesting question that we ask ourselves. There must be a dual benefit in saying Nasa v'Nishma. Very often when we discuss the concept of Nasa v'Nishma, we talk about how important it is to say Nasa before Nishma. Why is it important to commit yourself to doing something before you even hear the explanation or the details of what it is that you're doing? And we always say that the reason why this is so important is because it shows unconditional acceptance. I will do what I'm supposed to be doing, whether or not I understand it. That's ultimate radical commitment, Nasa v'Nishma. But if we analyze this, that would explain one of the crowns. The fact that somebody says Nasa before Nishma means that they're completely committed. But let's talk for a second about the opposite. Why do we have to say Nishma after Nasa? And what is the value of hearing after you're already committed? And here I'd like to share with you an idea that I received from the works of Rav Yechiel Yaakovson. He explains a very interesting human reality. He says people have to think about when is the ultimate time for me to hear, to listen, for the Nishma. And we're thinking about our hearing capacity. He says something fascinating. He says when a person hears an explanation before an action, his capacity for listening is limited. If you ever get a phone call from some telemarketers for some kind of chesed organization, and they start telling you all about the organization and all about why it's important to donate, and they throw in a chazal in there about the importance of chesed and giving, you very often are not really listening so well, because you know that there's an agenda and a bias, and the person is going to ask you for a donation. So they might be saying some beautiful ideas about the importance of giving and chesed with sources, but your listening is limited at that point. Your hearing capacity is limited because you know that the Na'aseh is coming, because you know that eventually you're going to be asked to do something. And therefore, we have to understand that very often when people try to give explanations leading up to a request, the listener is not listening so much to the explanation. Why is this? Rabbi Yaakovson explains that there are two very basic human midot that you run into when you try to explain the reasons for something before you actually ask for the person to do something. You're running into atzlut and meri. Atzlut means laziness. If I'm going to ask you to do something, even if I give you beautiful reasons why I want you to do this, chances are you're rolling your eyes and thinking, do I have to? And then there's meri. Merida means that each person has in him a little bit of a rebellious voice that says, nobody tells me what to do. The Gemara actually talks about this machloket between Antoninos and Rebbe, about when the Yetzer Hara comes into a person, at the moment of conception or the moment of birth. The Gemara concludes that the Yetzer Hara comes into a person at the moment of birth. How do we know this? For a very interesting reason. If in utero a person already had the Yetzer Hara, he would not agree to be confined for 9 months to the womb. He would push himself out and abort the pregnancy. The fact that babies are carried to term and then born means that the Yetzer Hara does not come until after birth. Once a baby is born and the Yetzer Hara is present, we see this. Try to swaddle a newborn baby, they refuse to be swaddled. Try to feed a newborn baby who doesn't want to eat, they won't eat. Because the definition of the Yetzer Hara is nobody tells me what to do. Let's go back to Nasa v'Nishma. If I really want to teach you an important reason to do the mitzvah or the request that I have of you, I should not be telling it to you before action, because I'm running into your rebellious side that says, don't tell me what to do. Now let's look at the opposite. When is the ideal time to explain? When is the ideal time to give conceptual framework? After a person does the action. Why? Rav Yakovson says very beautifully, after a person does something, his hearing capacity is maximized because there's a deep need of a person to resonate with why he does things that he does and to get validation and support for what he's doing. So let's just give a practical example. If you want somebody to set the table before Shabbos, and you say to them beforehand, you know, it's such a mitzvah to set up, Mi Shatach Be'erev Shabbat Yochel B'Shabbat. When you say that before, and then you say, so please set the table, the hearing capacity is limited. If the person sets the table and then says, you did a great job, and you know what? Mi Shatach Be'erev Shabbat Yochel B'Shabbat. At that point, the person's hearing capacity is maximized. They enjoy the explanation because they've already done the act. So this is the reason for the two term. The advantage of Naseh before Nishma is the unconditional commitment to do what we have to do even when we don't understand. The advantage of Nishma after Naseh is that a person resonates, understands, and internalizes things after he's done an action. Thank you.